Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's press briefing. My name is Dilur Rahman and I'm the Executive Director at the Center for Governance Studies. CGS is an independent think tank mostly working on governance, security, development, democracy, human rights, and freedom of press. It is well established that freedom of opinion, freedom of expression, and freedom of press are incontrovertible parts of human rights and democracy. Everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinion without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. Be that as it may, in the previous years, Bangladesh has a continuous disintegration of democracy, especially far-reaching infringement of these rights. In October 2018, Bangladesh government introduced the Digital Security Act, DSA, demanding that the law will guarantee cyber protection. Intellectuals, including international human rights organizations and media monitoring associations, expressed profound worries that the law will be broadly mishandled. Over 30 months have passed since the law came into power. It is seen that the Digital Security Act 2018 has become the essential device of smoothing dispute and establishing an environment of threat. It is against this context that the Center for Governance Studies is following the cases filed under the DSA since January 2020. The project named The Dark Cloud Over Freedom in Bangladesh, the Digital Security Act 2018, has assembled information about how the law is being implemented. Different parts of the execution of the law, including the demographic composition of the defendants and plaintiffs, the nature of the allegations, and political affiliations of the accusers and accused are investigated under the project. The venture is financed by the National Endowment for Democracy, NED, and led by Dr. Ali Riaz, Distinguished Professor of Political Theory at Illinois State University, USA. He is also a member of the advisory board of the Center for Governance Studies, CGS. Today, we are happy that we have with us CGS Chairman Dr. Manjur Ahmed Choudhury and Ms. Mona Dabe, Senior Program Officer for the Asia National Endowment for Democracy. Today, we are presenting a brief on a Digital Security Act presented by Professor Ali Riaz. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, please raise your hand. We'll also have time for questions at the end. I'm requesting all the attendees here to put their name and identity into the chat box in your Zoom control panel. We don't want any press coverage of this event, but we'll be more than happy if you can write on DSA. You are free to use our data, and in future, if you have any questions related to Digital Security Act, please contact us. Just one request: if you write or do a program on this, please let us know. Now, without further ado, we'll turn the time over to Dr. Ali Riaz. Our keynote speaker today is Professor Ali Riaz, Distinguished Professor of Political Science at Illinois State University, USA, a non-resident senior fellow of the Atlantic Council, president of the American Institute of Bangladesh Studies, and a member of the advisory board of the Center for Governance Studies, CGS. Mr. Ali Riaz, it's over to you.
Thank you, Zilur. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. As Zilur has mentioned, this particular event is not for the press coverage, but it is our intention to share the findings so far of the project. As the principal investigator of the project, I'm going to share some of the highlights. A briefing paper has been prepared with the summary findings, which will be shared by our research assistant, Arif Ahmed, in the chat box. Also, the detailed report has been posted in the project website called freedominfo.net. As Zilur has mentioned, and most of you are aware that over the last few years, Bangladesh has witnessed a serious erosion of democracy. Democratic institutions have weakened. The space for democratic practices have shrunk quite remarkably. And most importantly, the freedom of expression has come under various kinds of assault, both legally and through extralegal measures. One of the major instrument that has become overtly used, and there is a significant number of cases that we have noticed, which is causing serious concern. And with that in view, Center for Governance Studies started to track the Digital Security Act cases. Although Digital Security Act came into being in October 2018, this project started in 2020, February. By then, more than a year had passed, and we decided to start tracking the cases under Digital Security Act beginning January 1st, 2020. And this is an ongoing project. Here in this session today, we are sharing some of the findings that we have gathered over the last 15 months or so. And we expect that we'll continue this project. And if you need further information, of course, we are updating as quickly as judiciously possible in our website. I'm going to highlight some of the things through a PowerPoint presentation. Please bear with me. Some of the observations that we have noticed, and since the introduction of the Digital Security Act, practically even when it was drafted, concerns have been expressed by human rights organizations and those who monitors media that this law is open to and perhaps will be prone to abuse. And these concerns have now come into pretty much coming. It has come to pass. We have seen the extensive use of it. Most important element of the Digital Security Act as it was proposed and as it was passed and came into being is the non-bailable nature of various kinds, various articles. Pretty much most of the articles are non-bailable. Hence, it has created a situation wherein those who are charged with, and interestingly enough, the law enforcement agencies do not require any warrant, and there is no oversee mechanism for use of the Digital Security Act by the law enforcement agencies. This is the background within which what we have tried to do is, can you see the screen?
Yes. Yeah, we can see.
So this is within this background. This project is ongoing project, and what we have gathered so far is that since this introduction in October 2018, in the first 11 months itself, there have been 400 cases were filed. As you may recall, the Digital Security Act was introduced after severe criticism of its predecessor, that is Information and Communication Technology ICT Act, which was amended in 2013. And based on the amendment, there are several things that raised serious concerns. Hence, there were criticism from human rights groups, from the journalists and others that this needs to be stopped. Government promised to make some corrections, and it is in this context, ahead of the 2018 election, in October 2018, they introduced this new Digital Security Act. When it was introduced, it was insisted, it was we those who have followed it, those who have followed Bangladesh, those who are in the field of journalism and beyond, that this would be a serious, serious detriment to the freedom of expression. Already under the ICT Act, the number of cases was going up. And then it opened up the possibility of having more cases to be filed under Digital Security Act. Our fear pretty much came into pass within the first 11 months. 400 cases have been filed under the Digital Security Act between November 2018 and September 2019. And between January 2020 and March 23rd, 2021, what we have noticed through various sources, that is the 4 sources that we have followed, mostly media and beyond, what we have seen that at least 900 cases have been reported. And as we try to track on a regular basis, in the first 4 months, really is yet to be finished. As of January 2021, what we have seen until yesterday, that at least 56 cases have been already filed. Our study, the one that we are sharing with you, is basically covering the period between up until the March 23rd, 2021. Although there have been 900 cases that have been reported in press, and there are documents that leads us to 900, what we are trying to do is to gather the details of the cases, not only just reporting those which have been reported in press. We are trying to get the information, what are the charges, who has made those charges, who is accusing, what are the accusations, all as much details that we can gather. And that's why we have relied on 4 sources that we have used. The 4 sources are, the first is the media, of course, that is being reported. And media is those which are government approved media. We're not relying on all the media. The second element is the family or the accused. We try to get in touch with them. We gather data from the lawyers who are representing the DSA cases, and of course, the police stations. Based on that, what we have gathered is we have gathered details of 426 cases. Again, the report that is already available, it has the details of the profession and everything as much we gathered. But the highlight of this, that among these 426 cases, there are 913 accused. In some cases, in single cases, there are more people being accused. Among them, 104 of them are politicians, and 97 persons are journalists, 22 are teachers, 30 students, and interestingly enough, that almost 13%, more than 13% of those who have been charged with or accused of violating Digital Security Act are journalists. I mean, this act is not only affecting journalists, because as we have seen that a large number of people who are being accused are individuals for expressing their opinion, sharing, posting in social media, particularly in Facebook. Among these 426 cases, there have been 273 persons have been arrested so far. What we have seen, that there's a disproportionately, it is the journalists who are bearing the brunt of it. Despite the fact the accusations are more against the politicians, but when it comes to the arresting people, it seems to be the arrest of 31 journalists have been arrested, 27 politicians, 17 students, and more. One of the very concerning thing is that we have seen cases where the teenagers have been, even a 9th grader has been charged with or accused of violating Digital Security Act. Of these 426 cases that we have tracked and gathered details, what we have seen that 170 cases have been filed by individual persons. This is interesting in the sense that the Digital Security Act allows any individual to go and file a case if the police station accepts it. And in many cases, these individuals have been filing cases, not their aggrieved person. They're actually suggesting or they're accusing XYZ that they have, defamed someone else, ABC. They're not the person, So one of the downside, and clearly which have been used, government would call it abuse, others may call it abuse, but definitely it has been used by individuals, to practically on behalf of the, mostly the influential people. And in these instances, in most cases, we have seen those cases filed by the individuals are on behalf of, or at least at the behest of, the ruling party leaders, ministers, or the local leaders. We have tried to gather the accuser's political identity as much as we could, and what we have seen, the 82% cases have been filed by the ruling party activists and leaders. in some cases, of course, they alleged that, they've alleged that they are being defamed, but most of the cases that we have seen, have been charged. The allegations are, accusations are those that their leaders have been, somehow been humiliated and defamed, and their images have been tarnished, and so on and so forth. 12.6% cases have been filed by the different law enforcement agencies. There is police, RAB. Mostly it is the police who have filed these cases. And whenever police file these cases, and again, in most cases we have seen, this is when they felt that the image of the state or the government or the individual connected to the government seems to be an issue, or for them it is a matter of concern. What we have seen is the majority of the cases that have been filed so far are under Section 25 and 29 of the Act. Mostly, as I said, the defaming individuals or the image of the state, tarnishing the image of the state. I mean, this law, when it was in the draft form, and then when it was passed, including the Editors' Council, have repeatedly insisted, not to mention various human rights groups have insisted, and those who monitor media, they have insisted that many of these image issue and the articles are not very clear in terms of what exactly is meant by the image of the state, or for that matter, what it means. In various cases, this lucidity and opaqueness of this terms have caused major problems. Article 25 has been used in 37 cases against 112 accused, and Article 29 has been used against 39 cases, and the number of accused is 91. What is interesting in this, that all these cases that we are referring to, as I say, that most of these apparently has been filed by individuals to protect the image or the fame or their respected leaders or the individuals. There are cases, of course, we're not suggesting that there are not cases which is not filed by a aggrieved person. There are cases. There have been few cases that we have seen where the person who have become the victim of bullying, harassment, they have filed too. But a large number of them seems to be used by the party activists and ruling party leaders in this case. One of the very concerning things that we have figured out when observed, when we looked at these cases, the 426 cases that we have seen, that is with regard to the judicial process. The judicial process, despite the fact it started, these cases or the act came into being in 2018 October. And as I said at the very beginning, even in the first 11 months, 400 cases have been filed. But the judicial process is very slow because there is only one cybercrime tribunal. The process has been so slow that so far 2 cases have been solved in the last 15 months. 8 people have been discharged from one single case. That means 24 people have been granted interim bail, and 1 person who was charged with or accused of digital security, Mushtaq Ahmed, died in custody while he was in jail. And we have also heard that of allegations from those who have been accused of Digital Security Act and have been arrested. For example, the cartoonist Kishore has repeatedly insisted that he was picked up even before he was charged with. In between, there are hours, quite long hours that he alleged that he remained completely incommunicado, and there has been he doesn't know who they took him, despite the fact that there seems to have all sorts of information about him. Kishore has also suggested in a press interview that Mushtaq was tortured. We know that Mushtaq, and in many instances, not only Mushtaq, repeatedly bail has been denied. I mean, that raises a serious question with regard to the process, because despite the fact that the law says, the act says that these are non-bailable, but it is at the discretion of the court that the judges can and judges have. Fortunately, in many cases, judges have granted bail, but in some cases, the repeated request, repeated plea, repeated bail petition have been rejected. Say, for example, in case of Mushtaq, it was 6. There are other instances that the number of attempts to get a bail has not been succeeded. In case of Kishore, for example, and I'm mentioning because these are two highlighted cases we have known about, everyone is familiar with, that his bail was granted after the incident that we saw in case of Mushtaq, which raises very serious concern with regard to the granting of bail. And in many cases, it raises concern whether the safety and security of the individual. And in this regard, one thing that we have seen that the Act stipulates that investigation reports will have to be submitted within 60 days. If not, an additional 15 days can be given to this investigating officer. But many cases that we are following currently seems to be not following these 75 days, which is a matter of deep concern. Why? Because in many instances, people are being arrested because under Digital Security Act, the police can and police does often arrest people even without the warrant. Understandably, they can seize and search without warrant, which has taken place. And most importantly, they remain in jail without practically being introduced to the court, or in some cases, even if they're introduced to the court, they continue to be, denied of bail. So practically, even before being charged, they remain in the jail for long period. Let's say if someone is proven to be innocent, and we assume that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, even those who are accused, if they are at some point be, proven to be innocent, what happens with these days that they're spending in jail? So these are the concerns that we have seen. We are continuing with this project. And one of the reasons that we requested to have an audience with you is to let you know, and we have, as you know, that we have shared the entire report and the briefing paper, which would provide the details. And also we keep on doing and gathering all the information. As I said, we are gathering at the 2 levels. At one level, we are looking into the reported cases in the media and elsewhere, which sometimes is very difficult in the sense that there's a lack of transparency or accountability, so to speak, who is being charged, who is being accused. There hasn't been a very clear transparency from the part of the government to provide this information. But most importantly, on the second level, we are trying to track the cases with the details. What are they being charged with? What are the accusations? And what is the process? At what point in the judicial process they're in? So our idea is to keep tracking, because we think that for the sake of the due process, for the sake of the justice, not to mention for the sake of maintaining the freedom of information, it is necessary for us to know. So you as a journalist, we are hoping that you would highlight this situation, what we are witnessing with respect to Digital Security Act. CJS project is available to you. The data we are updating almost every day as much information we can. But with respect to tracking, we want to be very much sure that we have the information needed. So if you feel like, if you're working on it, if you need some information, please do get in touch with CGS. We'll try to help you as much possible. And expectedly, this would allow you to bring this up because we think it is very important, very, very important for Bangladesh, for the sake of the freedom of information, not to mention the democracy, given the situation, particularly the democratic backsliding. We think it is important to keep this information at the forefront and holding people accountable for this kind of thing. So with that, I thank you all. And if you have any questions, we are here to respond now or later. Please do feel free to get in touch with us. And we would be glad to share some of the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Riaz. We will go ahead and take some time for questions now. So just a reminder, please be sure to raise your hands and introduce yourself. Is there any questions?
Yes, Julhas here.
Yeah, please.
I don't have any question. I just want to thank Ali sir for such a nice presentation. And CGIS has done a great job to compile all the facts regarding the act, very controversial act. Definitely look into that and I'll get back if we can have something. And I don't have any question for now. But actually, and practically, what we can do actually, because this is going on, this will go on. What we understand. So the situation is grave. It's very easy to understand. So I don't know what is the future and what should we do, because nobody listens to us. So that's the problem. Nobody listens to anybody. So that's the problem. But still, I'm hopeful for a better future for a democracy. So, in general, what is your suggestion, sir? What we can do together to remove this situation?
Thank you, Zulhas. Absolutely. One of the things that I missed in while talking is that do make suggestions. You are in the field of journalism. You are practicing journalism. So what you can do is suggest us what kind of information that you need, or more importantly, the Bangladeshis and beyond Bangladesh should know about the situation with respect to digital security. What can be done? That is an activist question in a sense. I'm not going there, but one thing that you and I, you being in the field of journalism, or I being in the field of trying to do some research, what we can do is make sure that we're providing the information to the public in the context of it. What is the context? What is going on? Because anyone who is accused, as I say, until proven guilty, they're innocent. It is our responsibility. However, that situation is there. We need to keep them, in our mind and highlight their plight, what is going on. If someone has committed an offense, the legal system should not consider them already as if they're convicted. I mean, see what is happening, which worries us most is that those who are being accused, this time frame for investigation is being disregarded. They're staying in jail for a long period. That is very, But as a journalist, you can highlight these things, bring the attention to in and outside the US.
Definitely, thank you, sir. But frankly, I must admit, I am afraid as a journalist, because afraid in a sense that self-censorship is there. Even working with an international agency, I don't feel good all the time to deal with all the issues fairly. So I try to handle, but sometimes I keep myself, silent. So that's a situation here. I don't know, Shubhir Bhai is here, how he feels, but because you can destroy me no matter who I am or what I do, what is my protection. So that's not the issue actually. So this is a bad situation for us. Definitely, I'll get back to you if I need anything. So thank you so much again.
Thank you, Julius. Is there anyone? Shumi Khan, Parvi Chaudhuri, Oinangsha, Mr. Mira Chaudhuri, or anyone else?
Let me add something. I'm Shafiq from AFP.
Please.
What I have seen, like in recent weeks or recent months, that we see that even some of the perfectly written copies, written news, are being reporters of those reports are being targeted. Like you have seen how the NTV correspondent in Khulna has been targeted. He did a perfect copy. If you just read his news that he has done about the mayor of Khulna, it's perfect copy. I have seen he did the report. He made there is an allegation against the mayor that he owns a company, and then he took the comments of the mayor regarding some of the issues in that company, and the mayor responded, and then he wrote the story, and he just published the story in a Facebook, and then the next day he was arrested. There is no protection, it's just such a hopeless situation here. I perfectly agree with Julius. Like he is a star reporter, his copies are published in Washington Post, New York Times, but it's still you can see the confidence we have.
To speak.
Hello?
Asche? Acha, okay.
That's the real and there are also another story. I think it was never reported. Now, a reporter in Borishal, how he went at 1:30 a.m. The mayor went to a place where the reporter also went there, and he took photos, and then he was beaten there outright, and he couldn't even report it to anyone. He was beaten, he was humiliated, and he even charged with a case. This is some of the things that's happening outside Dhaka. It's just unbelievable.
Thank you, Mr. Shafiq. Is there anyone? Mr. Parveen Chaudhary, Shumi Khan, Oinangsha, please. Are we done here? I think it was
someone is trying to talk. Can you make sure that it's
I think someone is trying to talk. Is there any question or intervention, please?
Yes, there is a question.
Thank you, Parveen.
First of all,
please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Okay, my name is Parveen Chaudhary and I'm working at the moment is a Japan Broadcasting Corporation as their correspondent in Bangladesh. In addition, I also look after the APTN of Middle East desk. Middle East desk for all the Arab VVIP coverage. Anyway, this is my identification at the moment. Anyway, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Ali Riaz for explaining details to us. But that is true. The journalism has been squeezed in. We are only covering like 20% of journalism. I have been practicing journalism for the last 30 years. So at the moment, we are covering only 20% and 80% is out of our hand. That's true. That is very much true. But what we can do that, because we have been shouting, we have been asking government to cancel this Digital Act, but so far there is no response from the government. And I have seen lots of big journalist communication and the groups, they did a meeting with the government, but there was nothing come out fruitful for the journalists. So anyway, this is my question. So what we can do at the moment, what we can do? So it's like a clear picture. And we cannot work as a journalist. That is true. 80% work has been it's out from our hand. What we do, only routine work. Is someone like government is saying, what opposition is saying, what is happening, and most of the time this is NHK, so it's a broadcaster, and most of the time we report like AP reports this and Reuters reports that, or AFP reports that, and actually we are just sitting tight, and we are so self-centered, and so censorship is we did all the stories with a censorship, so we censored all the words, all the everything, so we cannot do anything. But what we can do at the moment, we cannot do anything since government is not listening to us. So I have a proposal that can we form a committee in Bangladesh to look after into the Digital Act. Exactly, the committee, alone committee, if we are united, then we can look after in the Digital Act, and each and every person who has been arrested or allegation, we should follow up that, and we should look after that, and committee should be formed by the journalists, lawyers, doctors, civil societies, and others. Can we do that to protect ourselves? This is my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Parveen. Professor Riaz?
Yeah, Parveen Chaudhary, it's a good suggestion. As for us means this time I am with permission of Zellur, I'm talking about CGS. CGS cannot create that platform. That's the journalist and the CGS can provide the information. That's what we are trying to do. This is the situation. We are tracking this. If you means not personally you, what I mean is that others, if they come up with whatever information is needed, we are doing, we can provide the detail, the cases that we are following, what are the situations, so that if the lawyers want to come forward and help them, we are here to provide the information. We have been tracking this as I say, and our target at this point is to keep the issue alive and not forget the people who have been accused, and let them practically gone into oblivion. That is what we are trying to do. But you have, what Julaz was saying was, and Shafiq was saying that, and we understand the larger picture, and that is the situation. Within that, with respect to this Digital Security Act, we are trying to provide the information so that and through you, others, your audience, as much possible, if you can know, because many outside Bangladesh and even inside Bangladesh, perhaps, that they're not actually the extent of this, the use of this act, and how many people have become accused and being detained, It's not very clear. Every other day or every day we see a small news here and the news report inside the newspaper or on a website somewhere down in there that X has been an accused of DSA has been arrested. Our job is to keep that up, and if you have a fantastic idea, I hope that comes to fruition and a platform is created. It was journalist union's responsibility, but unfortunately they are divided and we know that. And so hopefully if such a platform emerges, CGS and its research team will be able to help by providing information.
Thank you, Dr. Diaz. Anyone else? Leo, Igar, Rajesh Shah?
Yeah.
Please. Hello.
Hello.
Ananksha, please.
Yeah. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator and Professor Ali Riaj. It's a very educative session it was. And I have basically two observations and one question for you. So basically this digital security is basically comes from a very insecure mindset of an analog governance. So it's nothing new, like only this 21st century, the particular government in Southeast Asia is doing is across the world. And this is a very old mindset. That's why I use this analog mindset. So I have one question to bring this under this discussion. The thing is, truth. I think truth comes at a cost. And when you talk about the American freedom, Americans have paid every price for it. The brilliant example would be for the case of like Jim Acosta. Because Jim is the house he worked at, the CNN, on the revenue from the distribution. But unlikely, shamefully, I need to tell you the figures in India. We have we have more than 400 satellite broadcasters here. And, but none of them, you can see like the most television channel have to pay price of 10 paisa per month. 10 paisa per month. This is a fantastic price. So at this price, we can't expect the particular house should not be relying on a particular body. So basically, for what I'm trying to erect, the point is everything has a cost, and someone who pays the cost, of course, he will have a dictation of it. In India, our English press are quite vocal about about income and government and all. But what is the readership of the English press? This is tremendously low. Newspaper like someone like Indian Express or someone who decides the fate of Bengal, because readership of English newspaper is tremendously less. It should be like English is a particular readership background. So the readers of the factors of the other people. Secondly, the thing is the government, of course, has an issue. So here, the journalistic fraternity has to be more united. We have a movement, rather than an organization, we call it a movement. It's called Impunity Movement, which is led by IFJ. So it's not necessarily under the jurisdiction of IFJ. It's a very close eye from everywhere, from Africa to Asia, Southeast Asia. My own friend saying that he was there in Africa, in Italy, even Swedish journalist, the Swedish Prime Minister, and we made him because of this movement by the IFJ and other factors. So here, government will do, of course, irrespective of the color and the figures in the government, they will do. It's every time. So the journalistic fraternity, the blogger, the free thinkers have to create an environment which is much viable, which breeds free thinking and free thinkers. This is a case of entire South Asia. So we are very choosy and selective when we talk about free thinking. How much free, what ratio is free? So these relevant and relative factors should come in. And second thing I must tell, there's a huge concerns about digital security. Digital security would be taken under the consideration in a couple of factors. For example, like the Chinese companies like ByteDance and all, Indians who have ditched this corporation after our standoff and face-off in Doklam, in the borders across the LAC. So what they do, these companies set up an offshore office there in Bangladesh. They earn a lot of money. For example, this TikTok. TikTok is damn popular in Pakistan. So they don't run a data center there. So they source all the stuff from there. So the government of Bangladesh, the ICT minister, should push all the companies who are doing business, making revenues from Bangladesh under this Digital Security Act, and they will also force them to have a data center locally. So in the offshore countries, they will have their own data center, and the data and everything will be much more secure. So these 2 points I basically wanted to raise.
Thank you. I'm talking from India. Professor Riaz.
I mean, there's due to sound quality, some of the things I've missed.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're coming from. Our concern with respect to the Digital Security Act in Bangladesh, as it is written and being effective, is primarily and precisely is its detrimental effect for the freedom of expression. That is what we are more concerned at this point. With respect to how the digital security can be ensured, and as you have mentioned, it is an analog response to a digital crisis. I like that expression.
Thank you.
It's fascinating. I may plagiarize it. You never know. You might see that I have plagiarized it. Don't hold. But the point is that at this moment, what this securing the data has become the secondary issue, because the government has all the equipment, so to speak, and the wherewithal to do what they want. What we want, or at least the idea of this project, is to draw attention that this act, as it is being used for muzzling the freedom of expression. I keep on talking about freedom of expression because it is not only the journalists. They have become the primary target, but it's not only the journalists. And there is a serious impact, I think, coming from academia. It is having on academic research. We would not know. It will take years, because what we don't know is what we are not working on. Being afraid that this might actually cause problem. So the usual academic response to this kind of thing is that, okay, let me word this, I can do something. Those are the concerns that we are trying to raise. And as I have told, as I have told to Shafiq and Praveen Chaudhary, that as we need to let people know that this is the situation. Government is not doing anything. They promised. And another presentation organized by CJS, one of the ministers did promise that they are going to revise it or review, or at least try to reform it. I'm not very optimistic about it, and sometimes when people talk about reform, I get worried, because I know in the 2013 ICT Act was widely abused, and government promised to reform it, make it better, ended up with a worse law that ICT Act was, So hence, I'm not very optimistic, but first thing is the stakeholders need to be taken into account, and there should be a conversation. We will keep on saying that one, we'll keep on insisting on that. That is what we can do, and that is what we should do. We should not just let it go that, okay, nothing is happening, so let's leave it as it is. I don't think that is the responsibility of ours. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Riyad. Leo, you got Chikondinaka, Ambar, Shumikan, Jasmine Papri, Mira Chaudhary. If you have any question, please.
I wanted to ask a few things. May I speak?
Yeah, Mr. Rajesh, please.
Yes, I'm sorry I joined a little late, but I can understand the importance the Digital Security Act has in the context of Bangladesh. But I have a few apprehensions, kind of confusion in my own mind. You see, in any act, any provision in the law which restricts the democratic aspirations of people or the democratic space available to the people of the country is always something that needs to be looked at very carefully, and there is a need to fight against that. And I don't think Bangladesh is alone in having this kind of a system or a situation where people feel concerned about certain acts and certain provisions of the act. Look around the world, and the threat against democracy in various forms is becoming more and more popular in various forms. I think it is a part of the broader picture where democracy itself has come under threat, somewhere in the name of digital security, somewhere in the name of strong men who control the country and keep on changing their constitution to continue in their positions, and so on and so forth. So it is part of the broader struggle for democracy that needs to be looked at in the context of the overall political situation in the world. Having said that, I sometimes feel that I look at the social media in Bangladesh, in India, and many other places, and you see, on the one hand, the misuse of such laws is definitely there. But on the other, the extreme positions, the fake news, the hate speech, the kind of things which are being put out by extremist forces, whether in Bangladesh or in India or Pakistan, or I think all over the world, that also raises a very big question mark on where do we draw the line. Now, somewhere or the other, the government will have to take the responsibility of curbing or controlling the hate speech and such things. And very often, in the name of controlling and curbing those things, it gives immense power in the hand of the government to go for to attack the democratic voices as well. So, in such a complex situation where controlled freedom on the digital space, it doesn't seem to be tenable, may also ultimately work out to be against the same thing that we want to protect, that is against democracy. And at the same time, we do not want this to become a to look at the whole issue.
Mr. Jha, I cannot agree with you more. It is a part of the broader picture. Absolutely. We have seen this, the democratic backsliding all around the world for the last 15, 16 years. If we take the Freedom House data or the VDM data, we see that this is part of the larger picture. There's no doubt in my mind, and as I said, I cannot agree with you more on this. Having said that, this is a big piece of puzzle of this democratic backsliding, is the freedom of expression. There are institutional aspects. There are this, until and unless we can speak, and the possibility of reversing the backsliding is going to be elusive. So yes, understandably, this needs to be located within, contextualized within the democratic backsliding and the system of governance, and what was mentioning previously about the fear, the culture of fear which has permeated in the Bangladeshi society and elsewhere, in many places. Understand. Having said that, one, with respect to your second point, which you did mention, where do we draw the line of hate speech? Interestingly enough, that the hate speech, the cyberspace becoming a place of harassment, those are not being prevented by these kind of laws. Many instances, if you are from India, you'd know better than I do, that we have seen how the hate speech has not been, there hasn't been a crackdown on the hate speech. In the mainstream media, in some cases, political leaders are spewing those things. And I'm talking from the United States. We have seen that one here, and we are witnessing these things here as well. Yes, this is a difficult choice. We understand, and I understand at least that this is a difficult choice. But my point is that there should be an inclusive process of the stakeholders to discuss and figure out where do we draw the line. In case of digital security, all the suggestions that came from the Editors Council and the stakeholders were completely disregarded, except one that came from the police. The draft had a overseeing mechanism for arrest. That was removed at the request of the police, whereas others were completely disregarded. So understandably, a stakeholder's involvement in creating something, but to start with this, we need to start with a clean slate, because what we have seen in the past almost 30 months now, that it has been used, and it has given kind of a vigilante justice kind of situation, because anyone can actually charge and accuse anybody, and the police often is under pressure to register, take those cases. Those are the things that we are trying to draw attention. And most importantly, people are suffering for expressing their opinion. Not necessarily those are to hate speech. In some cases, plain and simple, expressing their opinion. And for example, what Shafiq was mentioning of a reporter recently that we have seen in case of Khulna. According to Shafiq, who is a seasoned journalist, and he's telling me that it is a perfect copy. I myself have been in journalism. Sometimes I taught journalism. I school studying journalism. It appeared to me so, but then again, he's in jail now and accused of violating DSA. But anyway, thank you. I understand your point, Mr. Zawar.
So, Ambar, Susan, Shumi Khan, Jasmine Papri, any intervention or questions?
Actually,
Ishash.
Yeah.
Please.
Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please.
Yes. I have no question actually. Let me introduce myself first. And this is Jasmine Papri. I work for Binar News. Actually, I know that journalists have a lot to do. But again, it's an extreme reality that we don't have the opportunity to express everything. As my senior colleague said, actually, as Zulfa said also, that there is an issue of self-censorship. But even then, my colleagues are fighting against this law, And sometimes this self-censorship hurts our own, you can say, our own conscience. But also, I have to worry about my family's safety, especially our local correspondents. As Shafiqul Bhai said, his experience about NTV correspondent. But hopefully, we can get out of this on the such discussions. Research will show that way. Thank you, Aliyah sir, for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jasmine. Shumi Khan, Ambar, Susan, Bishash Boral, if you have any question, please, or intervention. Mira Chaudhary.
Just a quick note on this, what Jasmine and others are saying about the self-censorship. We call it self-censorship. Actually, is it self-censorship? because given the circumstances, the whole situation was created by someone else. I didn't create it. No journalist has created the situation that they have restrained themselves. So yes, we call it self-censorship. But I think it is sort of an imposed fear that has been. So understandably, fear has permeated not only for journalists, others too, but it is journalists are at the forefront and even common citizens very afraid. Bangladesh has lost one great thing in the newspaper. That is called cartoon. During the last decade or so, from 1991, it was cartoon was a part and parcel of the printed newspapers and others. Now it's gone because who wants to take the risk of being accused of, under the DSA? Yes, please.
Yeah, any more questions or intervention?
Zilur bhai, just 2 minutes.
Shumikan, please.
Give me just 2 minutes. I'm entering.
Please introduce yourself. Please introduce yourself.
Shumikan, instructor of IANS, Indonesia News Service, largest news agency of India. I'm just entering. I have some question also, my inputs also. Can I get 2 minutes, please?
Sure, please.
I'm entering. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So she's taking time. Anyone else?
Yeah. If it takes 2 minutes, can I make an intervention just within a minute?
Please, please. Anand, please.
So, sir, what I mentioned, so what I mentioned about the masthead price, for example, the Delhi Star or Prothomalo, they're being sold out to the price of Dhaka 10 or something. In Times of India, the entire voluminous page of 42 is being sold at the price of 4. But the printing, production costs, the management and everything costs at least 4 times of it. So someone is bearing the price, and it's of course not the readers. So that's the reason I think we are still behind in this game in comparison to the Western countries, because Washington Post and all the other houses like the Guardians and others are actually like everything news are paid by the readers. The revenue comes from the readership. So this is basically the differences. So that's the point I wanted to mention.
Okay. We have to wait for Shumi just 1 minute. Professor Riaz?
I mean, to everybody, I mean, if you have any stations, particularly those who are in the field of journalism, whether in India, Bangladesh, with respect to our research, what we should focus, please do feel free to let us know that these are the things that we can explore. Might not have a solution, but definitely we can explore to get more data and information. So there is an email address. Go to our website and do share your thoughts and your suggestions. That will be much helpful for us.
So, Shumikan, are you there? We have with us our chairman, Dr. Manjur Ahmed Choudhury. Dr. Choudhury, if you have any intervention, please. Just 1 or 2 minutes.
Zilur bhai.
Oh, Shumikan.
Can you hear me, please?
Yeah, please.
Can you hear me, please? Okay. Actually, thank you. First of all, I'm really my apology that I could not enter on time, and also I couldn't listen all the discussions. And my heartfelt respect to Ali Riaz bhai and all the participants. Actually, we the journalists, I think that we can get our freedom to speech actually all over the world, but in Bangladesh we are is digital Security Act, it is very unfortunate for us, unfortunate for us. And also, I also believe that any security act cannot get anyone to speak properly or speak the truth actually. So I have to mention earlier when we were actually victimized by the law enforcement officials. Actually, I was arrested on 2004, and we was some of us like Shariar Kobir, Muntasir, Dr. Muntasir Mamun, and also Salim Samad. He was brutally tortured in jail. And this is actually, and also 13 journalists were killed in 2001 to 2005. 13 journalists have been killed. So I don't know all the cases filed about these killings. Any one of the cases, the killers or the attackers, no one punished still now, as we know. So, and now government is imposing us like this Digital Security Act. So when journalists from Borishal or Gazipur or Dhaka, like Kajol Bhai, are very known to us all. Kajol Bhai still, he is facing very difficult, also not only difficulties, also hassles in his life, professional life, family, like this. So what is happening? I can mention an example. On 2004, we were invited in Bali. Indonesian government invited us, 98 journalists from all over the world, including Riz Khan and other all. And there was the then president of Indonesia. He told that we invited you to say that I am also Muslim believer. And when a cartoonist, he draw a curtain of Hazrat Muhammad, the prophet. So as a Muslim believer, it can hurt me, but I can't allow that the cartoonist will be killed, never ever. So we can be believer or anyone else can be believer or any ethics, any religion or anything else, but he or she cannot impose any law like this to stop your writing, to stop your freedom of speech. It is my, I think, not only me, all of the journalists who believe on freedom of speech, everybody will tell like this. So with all due respect, I will tell like that. Including our information minister, I can mention him. He can speak everything else, but I myself did not see him to respect on freedom of speech. Because of that, I am from Chittagong. Now I am in Chittagong. I just listened from a taxi driver, the brother of the present information minister, his brother, locally, he is actually doing something, so many crimes happening by him. Nobody dare to speak anything else about his crime. So everybody know it, but nobody exposing the crime of the brother of our information minister. Why? As a brother, he can get some opportunity or something else, but as a criminal, he should be punished, and the victims should get the justice. That's why I think that this act, I hope that all of us, if we try our best, if we are united, then we will get a good day. We can hope for this at least, to think that, okay, the freedom of speech will come for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Shumika.
Thank you. Just a quick thing. You are absolutely right, that the impunity that we have seen, it's not a new thing. It has been, Manik Shah was killed, and Shamsur Rahman from Jeshore, who was a very close friend of mine. I had the opportunity to work with him. When he was a BBC stranger, I worked in London. In fact, in 1999, soon after the Udichi bombing, I went down from London to Jeshore and worked in very close time. And hence, this impunity, the culture of impunity, when it comes down to the journalist, it is also for others, for the journalist. That has been the practice, and that has encouraged others to go on, if not killing, of course, harassing, physically assaulting, and all sorts of things. Add one more thing. Digital Security Act is an imminent issue and problem for the journalists, but it is not only the journalists. It is causing enormous problem to the public at large. Everyone should have the right to speak, and that is the point that we are trying to drive at. Hopefully, and others, I hope things will turn around. I don't know when. As I always tell, I wish I didn't have to do this research. That would be the most pleasant thing for me. It's not a pleasant thing to do the research and speak about it. That is not something I'm enjoying.
So it looks like we have covered all of our questions. Professor Alirias, is there anything else you wanted to cover?
No, that's all. Thank you everybody for their suggestions, and the comments. Those have been very, very helpful. As I say, if other suggestions, please do not let us email. We have an email at the website. Check out. We are trying to provide information as up to date possible, and we will continue with this project. Any suggestions are welcome.
Thank you, Professor Alirias. We are almost at the end of the program. At this stage, I would like to request Dr. Manjur Ahmed Choudhury, Chairman of the CGS, to say a few final words. Dr. Manjur.
Thank you, Mr. Jil Rahman. I will make a few comments. At first, I would like to thank Professor Alirias for presenting the findings of this study. You can see that this Digital Security Act is hanging like a dark cloud over our day-to-day personal, political, and social life. It was meant to be to regulate the cyberspace, but eventually what it became a state-sanctioned legal tool to terrorize the citizens, all sorts of citizens, journalists, not only journalists, politicians, even teachers, educationists. Actually, our study, this study was related to Digital Security Act only, but our freedom of expression is also hampered by the fundamentalist also. It is really sad that half a century after our liberation, we have to fight to establish our right to express ourselves. That's the sad part of our, half-century legacy. And another thing I must say that these, many of these sections of this Digital Security Act contradicts our fundamental right given, guaranteed in our Constitution. That this law is basically, from constitutional point of view, is not legal because it goes against our fundamental rights. Another thing I would like to point out here, that we now in this 21st century more connected. All the people of this world are more connected, interconnected world we live in. This is truly a global village. We are the citizens of a global village, and where in one section of the village, in one part of the village, if these rights, these fundamental rights are denied, the total village, this entire village cannot function properly because it hampers the free flow of information, free flow of ideas. It stifles the creativity of the people. As the cartoon was a part of our life when we were students, when we were young. There are a lot of cartoons. We enjoyed cartoons. These cartoons has disappeared. You cannot expect a good cartoonist to be in Bangladesh anytime soon. So in any part of this world, if freedom is denied anywhere, freedom is denied everywhere. That's the point I want to emphasize. And another point I would like to mention here, that freedom is not free. We have to fight for it. We have to keep this fight alive. And I appreciate that Parveen Chaudhary made an excellent idea, excellent proposition that all people across all the sections of the society should form some sort of committee to be with the victims of this Digital Security Act, because freedom of expression is the mother of all rights. If you do not have this right, you cannot talk about other rights. So we must ensure that we have the freedom of expression. We have that right. Then we'll be able to create a space where we can talk about our demand for other rights, like voting rights, right to move, right to assemble, all sorts of rights. But at first, we must, across all political, all ideological, areas, we must unite and ensure that at least some sort of freedom of expression is established. That will give us the way forward to establish a democratic rule in this country and elsewhere also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Manju Chaudhary. Great. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thanks again for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.